Hi everybody, it's me Willow and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have another movie review for all of you guys to enjoy. And today we are talking about Sirat, which is directed by Oliver Laxe, and it's co-written by Oliver and his screenwriter Santiago Filho. Hopefully I pronounced both of their names correctly. I believe they're kind of like a French and Spanish duo. This film is kind of a mishmash of cultures. We are in Morocco, so an African country, but all of our main characters are EU citizens. And it's kind of like a very distinct part of the film because there's this whole like geopolitical nature of the film that's kind of going on underneath our main storyline with our characters. And there's kind of this like rumbling of World War III and the world kind of like coming to an end. And this is kind of an overarching theme and kind of like energy that surrounds the entire film till the very end. So I do think that it's very important to kind of understand where the director and the screenwriter and a lot of the crew and the cast are coming from because this plays directly into the geopolitical like storyline structure that's happening. I do think that storyline could have been developed a bit more, specifically near the end, kind of where our characters are left, though I do think the ending is kind of open for a reason. And I am pretty naive to a lot of the geopolitical stuff that is going on outside of my own country, Canada, specifically in Africa. I'm very unknowledgeable about anything really geopolitical that's going on over there. So if people have more insight about the geopolitical stuff that's going on in Surat, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. I would love to have some, maybe local people talk about that because I do think it's interesting that the military at the beginning of the film comes and specifically looks for the EU citizens to evacuate. And then we have a lot of like the indigenous culture who is, of a darker race, darker skin complexion compared to our EU citizens who are all very much Caucasian appearing, at least, white passing. I do think it's interesting to see like the scavenging and the locals, like kind of really risking their lives and kind of just leaving their homes and fighting at the gas stations in order to try and cross the border to get somewhere safe. So I think it's very interesting, with a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world, specifically in Gaza and Palestine and everything that's going with the borders and different military actions being, taking regimes and stuff like that. So I do I do find that very interesting about Sarat, and I feel like that is just a really teeny tiny part of the film that doesn't get a lot of expansion on, but grasps me right away. And I thought about the entire course of the film, and obviously I'm still thinking about it like a day later. So I would love to hear people's thoughts on the geopolitical nature of the film. Now that I have that kind of out of the way, I really enjoyed Sirat. I thought this was such a visceral, really like whole body experience. I am so happy that I went to the theater to go see this. Thank you to Kaniski Sin. You can see their tote bag in the background, and Tarot Club, and also Elevation Pictures because they gifted me the ticket to go to the Lightbox in order to see it. So I'm so happy because it was such a great setup. We were in Cinema 2, so one of the biggest cinemas, so I got to see it on one of the biggest screens at the Lightbox and with great sound system. This is a film you don't want to see on your computer. Do not make that mistake. If you can go see it at one of your independently run cinemas or, one of your chain cinemas, it's not playing at any of the chain cinemas near me. It's only playing at the independent cinemas or like Lightbox. So go search for it. I really suggest. It is nominated for 2 Oscars for Best Sound and Best Foreign Language Feature, and it's so deserving of it. And you need to see it in a cinema. It's not going to do it justice if you don't see it in the cinema, guys. We open Sirat up in the rave, being set up. We're building our big speakers. We're really in the moment with the ravers, kind of having this community being built. And we kind of see the rave kind of build up over the course of like a day or two, like maybe like a weekend. And we kind of go back and forth between a couple different characters. And I loved this scene. I am a big EDM fan. Like I really do love like dance house music specifically, more like dance house music, I guess, than EDM, but I was such a big fan of this music. I am a little bit more like into lyrics, so that's why I said a little bit more house than EDM. This is a little bit more EDM, I believe. So it's a lot more on like the bass and the movements. And there is one point in the film where one of our main characters, Luis, mentions that like he could never like listen to this music and he finds it so hard to like listen to. And Jade, one of our ravers who I really enjoyed throughout the film, I thought she really stood out. She says, well, this isn't music to listen to, it's music to dance to. So I thought that was very interesting. I think that kind of is a big poignant part of the film, is that a lot of the time we are just begging people to listen to us. And I think we really do need to just like be present and live in the moment and just kind of feel the energy and the world like through our body and through people and our chosen family and those who are willing to stand by our side through thick and thin. And I again, this film is just so visceral, and it takes about, I think, maybe a half an hour to 40 minutes until we get the title card. It's a complete cold open. I really did not expect the title card to just show up when it did. I thought it was brilliant, really like cinema, the Scorsese, like meme. Like it was really so interesting to watch this film just be set up in the first like 40 minutes where we're being introduced to the rave. It's really the slow burn. We're going through all the different crowds and we're hearing the different music. We're kind of going at nighttime, in the morning, all the different environments. And then we get introduced to Luis, this father, kind of going through this crowd, kind of seeming a little desperate, and his young son Esteban, who I would say is like 8, 10 years old. Like I would definitely think he's under the age of like 12, 13. He seems pretty young, and they're walking around this rave and they have photos of the daughter, the sister of Louise and Esteban, and they are looking for her. And apparently they've been tipped off that she might be at this rave. So they're walking around, like, asking everybody, have you seen her? Can you please give us some information? And they eventually come across this group of ravers who are high up on the hills of this desert in Morocco. And a part of the group are these members. We have Jade, like I mentioned, we have Steph, we have Josh, we have Bingu, and we have Tonin. Hopefully, I'm kind of pronouncing their names correctly. These is kind of like this big kind of found family. They are very like they just kind of stand out, like we know that they are going to mean great to our story when we have them interact with Esteban and Luis. And they haven't seen her, they can't be of any help. And Luis and Esteban just kind of go on, and But like this group of ravers do say that there is going to be another rave after this one wraps up. And if they don't find the daughter at this rave, maybe she's going to be at the next rave. So kind of plants a seed where Raven doing our thing, and then the military shows up and announces that there's been a state of emergency that's been announced, and that all EU citizens must be evacuated, must go to the border. And this is the geopolitical stuff kind of starting off at the beginning. All of our ravers kind of pack everything up and they're all in this line. And then Jade gets out of her caravans while they're in the line to go use the washroom, just kind of on the side of the road. And one of the military soldiers kind of accosts her and is like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm just gonna go piss. Like, are you gonna get upset that I'm having to pee?" And he's just kind of like staring at her, and she says, like, "I'm just pissing. You are literally a child." And he literally looks like fresh 18. It's pretty obvious that he is like a native of Morocco, and is probably being used by the country, is not really given much of, like, again, I'm assuming that this kind of military state is kind of taking over. At least that's kind of what it seems like, and they're using the native people to kind of do their biddings. At least that's kind of how it seems. They're taking these young naive kids who probably need like stable jobs and to support their families, and they're making them soldiers to fight this war that's not even their war. At least that's kind of how I was taken from it. So then Jade kind of runs back to her caravan, and as she hops in, she tells her friends to go, 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 and they like run off the path. Two of the caravans, it's like two and then I think three, two people, three people. It's like Josh and Jade, and we have Steph and Bingu and Tolman in one caravan. They kind of go off road, and then we have Esteban and Louise in a car, a couple behind, and Esteban's like, "Follow them, like, let's go. We got to get to the next rave. We got to find my sister." And so they kind of go off, and the ravers are like, "What are you doing? Why are you following us?" They're like, "We need to get to this rave. We have to find my daughter, and you are our only clue of where that is." And the ravers are like, "This is really harsh terrain. Like, I don't think your vehicle is going to make it." And he's like, you know, we we have no choice. And I think this one line is super important. And they say, "Well, we're going to be out in the middle of nowhere. Like, what if, something bad happens and you need help? There's no way for you to get help." And, I kind of just brushed that line off, didn't even think about it. Boy, does that line fucking come back to haunt you. And the father's just kind of desperate, and he's like, "Well, we have to make this decision. We have to follow you. We have to get to the rave." So it's kind of this whole caravan. We see this crazy shot of the Moroccan desert of we have the two caravans and then the kind of smaller little van with Louise and Esteban in this line, and all of a sudden Sirat just poses up onto the screen, and crazy cold open, such a slow burn, really setting up our story, introducing our characters, letting us in, understanding what we are looking for. And I just thought it was so magnetic, so incredible with the music, really, really visceral. And then we're just in a completely different movie. We're like on this road journey, to this rave in this crazy terrain with this unforgiving and grueling desert with the hot sun beating down on them. And we have to go through like some water, and we have to go along the sides of cliffs and all this crazy stuff. It really does have a lot of exuberance of Mad Max, very much like the first Mad Max, like with Mel Gibson in it. Very, very much like that Australian type of desert, So I found it very interesting. I know a lot of other people have been talking about specific titles that were kind of inspiration for this film. I've not seen those. I've only seen Mad Max, so that was the one that kind of inspired me and that I definitely got some, similarities from. our father-son duo and the Ravers are just going off into the mountains, and they specifically go off into the mountains because it's going to be good coverage from the military that's kind of going along like the main roads. So we're up in these cliffs, and I also have to point out that there are two dogs in this film, and I just I've talked about this before, specifically with like my Marty Supreme review. I just I can't watch movies with animals in it anymore. Like I really find them to be Chekhov's gun. If I see an animal in the movie, I know something fucking bad is happening to them. They're not in there just for shits and giggles. They are going to be a major like death or something like that. So this entire time I was freaking out about the damn dogs, specifically Pippa, because she's kind of made a little bit more prominent than the other dog. The other dog is the Raver's dog, Pippa, Eloise, and Esteban's dog. And, we're on the road trip and stuff, and this dog, man, like there's this one scene where we can't find the dog, and then we find her and she's like passed out, and it's kind of revealed that she must have eaten some laced like shit that one of the ravers, disposed of the night before and didn't bury, and it's laced with LSD. So that was a very traumatic scene for me because again, I'd rather see some sort of human, get laced with LSD. Like, I just can't with the animal shit. Like, I'm just a really big, like, animal abuse harm person. It's just kind of like in my nature. So that was hard to watch with Pippa. And, luckily she was okay. She just kind of suffered in the moment and nothing happened to her then. Um, but then, just even more crazy stuff happens with the dog. So we get to this one point where we're up in the mountains, like I mentioned, and it's grueling. Like there's this one scene where it's nighttime and it's raining, and you can barely see the road ahead of you. It's so flippin' dark. I'm on the edge of my seat. I am like holding my breath. It's so nerve wracking. You're like literally like this close from the edge. There's moments where the caravans are going over the roads and there's literally rocks just falling down, crumbling. The road's barely there. It's so nerve wracking. And we get to a point where the caravan just kind of completely stops and we don't know what's going on. It's pouring rain. It's dark out. We're on the side of a fucking cliff and they don't know what's happened. And next scene, it's the daytime, so they've had to like stay there all night on the sides of cliff, and they're in kind of like a pothole. They're stuck, and I guess they're trying to like change the tire or try and loosen it or something so they can try and get it out of the cliff. So you're freaking out about this caravan on the side of the road, like with its wheel kind of loosening. You're like, is it going to tip over? Like, what's going to happen? It's really trying to rev up. It's in the middle. There's a caravan in front. And we have the van in the back. And everybody's working on the van. And we have Louise and Pippa playing on the side of this cliff. And again, I'm freaking out about Pippa because they have like this orange ball they're playing. I'm freaking out that the orange ball is going to go over the fucking cliff with Pippa. And obviously, Louise is stressed out. So he tells Esteban and Pippa to get into the van and to wait while they're trying to figure out everything with the caravan. Oh my god, the window's down in the van. They're playing with Pippa. I'm freaking out about the flipping ball. It's gonna like jump out the window and Pippa's gonna go with it. And I'm freaking out about that. And then we get a moment of success. We're able to get the caravan to move forward. It gets out of the pothole. We're all super happy. All of a sudden, the van moves fucking backwards. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Everybody in the scene is freaking out. Luis goes, pull the handbrake, and the fan goes off the fucking cliff. And I was like, what? What has just happened? You hear it crunk, 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 crash with Esteban and Pippa inside. And the fucking movie just completely changes in one moment. Our trajectory of trying to find this lost daughter who has not been in contact with her father or her brother for about 5 months, I believe. They have been no contact. And we're just trying to get through this harsh environment, just trying to get to the next rave. Trajectory of the film is gone. It's completely done. Esteban, Pippa die in the most horrific way possible. Like even just talking, like I'm still not over it. Like I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Like fucking brutal. Like I said, grueling and unforgiving. This film, I was in utter shock. Like I've been hearing about this film since Cannes. So that's been, quite a long time coming now. And I knew it was a very shocking film. I knew something big happened. Um, I had no spoilers, and I'm very happy I had no spoilers, but at the same time, I thought it was just so horrific. Like I said, like I was so fucking worried about that damn dog. I was even thinking about Esteban, something bad happening to him, you know? Didn't even cross my mind. I'm thinking the dog's gonna go over the cliff. Like that's what's the worst in my mind. No, the both of them just go over in the most horrific way possible. And the film just keeps going for like another hour almost. And I was like, how, like, I wanted to like almost get up and leave. Like, I heard a lot of people kind of walked out of this film. I thought it had to do more with like the rave stuff. I, I want to know if it was because of that fucking scene. I was just so in shock, and I'm like, I need some resolution. I don't know what to feel right now. I was like bawling. Um, because I was just in complete shock like the rest of the cast. Um, Tolman looks over the side and, he confirms that there's nothing to save. And I think that's another thing, like, it's just, like, Louise is so distraught. He's lost his daughter, and now his son has just died in front of his eyes, along with the dog. And he's like, we have to go get him. And um, Tom, like, there's just like no confirmation, to be like they just can't tell him, they can't come forward and be like, he's crushed, like there's nothing to save. And so we just keep trudging forward in the caravans. Luis is there, we're in utter shock, and we don't know how to feel. We're just trudging along in the desert. We get off the cliffs and we just come across this moment. We take a break, and our ravers are like, okay, well, I think I know what we can do to kind of help this moment have a little bit of healing. And they get like I don't know if it's like ayahuasca or something like that, but some sort of herbal drug, and they like crush it up and make it into some sort of like tea, and they all drink it, and they've set up their speakers, and they kind of commence their own healing rave. And again, I am bawling because I just thought it was like beautiful, but so just like gut wrenching at the same time, because it's like I'm just imagining that connection that Louise is having with this trauma, this feeling, just really experiencing it through this herbal medicine, and the music, trying to be one in this community. And everybody's just really, this is the moment that we've all needed, this moment of release and cathartism. And we have Jade going, turn the music up, let's blow this shit up. Bam, she blows the fuck up because they're in a minefield that the military has set up. And again, I was like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? This movie has completely changed. In the second half, we don't even mention the daughter again. Like, none of that storyline is brought up. This whole film completely changes. Jade blows up. Tommen, everybody's all drugged out, everybody's super high. Tommen runs towards her in this moment of grief. He blows up. So then we have Josh, Steph, and Luis and Bingu all together. Oh no, I think it was Bingu actually. Sorry. Bingu is the first one, I believe, who dies. So Tommen stays, and we're all like in this moment of like, oh my God, what's just happened? We're in a minefield. So they kind of have to stand still because they don't know what next movement is going to blow the next thing up. So our group kind of sends one of the caravans, kind of going forward, hoping it will go towards the rocks because Louise mentions that they can't put minefields in the rocks because they're kind of maybe like 80 meters away from this cliffside where all these rocks are. So they send one of the caravans, kind of going forward. It blows up eventually, hits one. So they don't know what to do. Like, I'm thinking they need to be throwing shit. Like, they have all this materials and stuff. They're not throwing it. Um, so then they send the next caravan out, and it only goes so far, and it blows up a little bit, and then it veers off to like the right. So it doesn't even make it like anywhere near the rocks, and then it blows up completely. So then they decide to just kind of follow the tracks. Like, they don't know what to do. They're just stuck. And again, like the idea of the quote, like, if you guys are out here in the middle of nowhere and something bad happens, like, how are you going to get saved? Like, how are we going to get help? It all comes to flipping fruition. Like, that quote is just so, like, incredible, just like really bringing us back to that moment. So Luis just decides, I'm just going to go. And he doesn't even think, like he says, I didn't even think about it. He just walks completely dead straight and he makes it to the rocks. Nothing happens. He doesn't blow up. So then our three ravers are freaking out. They're hyperventilating. They don't know what to do. Luis just did it without them. They have the dog. Like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, I believe it's Tommen now. It's either Tommen or Bingu. I don't know which one passes away. I can't remember. But we have, I think it's Tommen, because I'm pretty sure Bingu dies first. Tommen's walking forward, and he has his bag. He's like, I'm gonna be confident. He's walking the exact same tracks as Luis, and he blows up. And Luis is like, I just didn't even think about it. And then we have Josh and Steph and the dog, and we don't know what to do. And they're like, okay, we're just going to close our eyes and we're just going to do it. And I literally had to close my eyes because I didn't know what to do. And next thing it's revealed, they've made it, the three of them with the dog. And that's like the end of the film. We just wrap up with them crossing over the minefield into the next kind of like landscape territory. And then we see that they're on this like transportation train with all of the native Moroccan people. So very interesting. That's just the end of the film, them kind of heading towards the border. And I just really thought this film was about like just grief and tragedy and being present in the moment, because Luis and Esteban are so worried about the sister and the time that they've lost with her and the future of wondering where she is, that they're not present and with each other. And same with the ravers, like they're just so worried about the next rave. They're not like, I think they're more present, like, because with the rave, especially in that one moment before the minefield scene, like they're trying to kind of come in with like this healing moment. They are a little bit more like they're the chosen family. Like, I feel like there is like this distinction between presence, future, past, and how you deal with grief, how you are a person, in this world. And life, like, I was, like I said, I wanted the movie to end, but like that's not just what happens in life. When this grave tragedy happens, like, you are forced to make the next decision. and forced to put the next foot forward. So I did think this film, like I said, had a couple loose ends, like with the geopolitical stuff. I do think the big deaths do kind of come out of a little bit left field, kind of nowhere. I do think that's kind of the point. I think on a rewatch, it's going to hurt even more knowing when it's going to happen. I was going to give it like a 4.5 on Letterboxd until like the deaths happen because I just don't know if there's a whole lot of resolution completely afterwards. I do think it's a little bit more of an open ending. I think maybe if you are a little bit more aware of the geopolitical stuff going on, maybe you would have a little bit more insight and maybe have a little bit more of a satisfying end. I don't think it's supposed to be really satisfying, but I stuck with a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd for my overall review, just because I did have like a couple quips, like I said, but I did think it was so strong, had such an incredible vision. And like I said, I'm very happy I got to see this in a cinema. I just loved the music in this film. It's from the electronic artist Kang Ding Ray. Hopefully, that's how you kind of pronounce his stage name. David Lettier. Loved it. Thought it was so incredible. Like, just whole body movements. I was literally like, uh, uh, like, so into it. Like, I feel like there literally should be like rave versions, where like for the first half you're kind of up in dancing with the main characters when there's like a rave scene. So love that. Like I said, love the camaraderie. I also thought it was incredible that only the actor who plays Louise and Esteban are trained actors, and the rest of the cast are all unknown people, all like ravers, people that they picked off the street. And like I said, I really loved Jade. I thought she really stood up. I really did think Steph stood out as well near like the second half, like during the minefield scenes. Really liked her. I thought the male ravers were pretty interesting as well. I thought their camaraderie was very interesting. I also thought it was kind of intriguing that we get to see two characters with like missing limbs. Like I thought that was a very interesting representation with Bingu and Tommen. One of them is missing like a hand and a wrist, and the other is missing like his knee down, I believe. He has his knee because there's kind of like this one little like puppet kind of skit scenes where he's like playing with his knee, and that's really funny. Like I just thought it was really interesting to see that representation. I feel like we don't get to see different type of bodies, not always able to body people in, just film in general. And I think it's also very interesting to see, like the raving community. It's not all just like able bodied people. So I think that's interesting as a way to like note like the accessibilities of raves and stuff like that. So I just thought that was very interesting. Something I took note about these like real life people, like they aren't afraid to show, real life people. They don't have to be these perfect, you know, complete, homogenous bodies. They can be just regular people, and maybe they have struggles like every other people, but they, they can go to the rave in the middle of the desert. They can drive these big caravans. They can dance. They can like do all these incredible things. Like I just thought it was very interesting. I thought that was something to note. Great performances from both of those performers. So yeah, I thought it was really cool having that like unknown cast, this really guttural music, all of them come together with this really chosen family kind of message. And of course, just like the gut punch of these deaths happening to our characters, that we've been following their journey the entire time. So Oliver, I think, is so incredible. I definitely have to check out his other films that he has. Have not been able, like, I hadn't heard of him until Sirat. So I'm very grateful that I've been exposed to his work. And like I said, would love to check out his other stuff. I'll have to check out the actor who plays Esteban and Louise as well and see what their work is. But I thought this film was so great. I'm very excited for the Academy Awards to see what happens. I think this would be such a fantastic win in sound. Like this would remind me of like the Zone of Interest winning sound a couple years ago. I just think it is so well done, and I think this is a type of film, that just deserves it. Like it's specifically designed around the sound in a lot of the scenes. So I just am very excited for them at the Oscars. Again, I am a little disappointed, that No Other Choice and It Was Just an Accident were snubbed in the best foreign language film category. I do think they are better films than Sirat personally. I do have It Was Just an Accident at a 4.5 on Letterboxd and No Other Choice at a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and this one is a 4. But they are all completely different, and I do think they are all deserving of your watch. So give Syrah a watch, and if you have time, give It Was Just an Accident and No Other Choice a watch as well, because all of them deserve to be given the praise and deserve to have your viewership. So thank you guys so much for giving me some viewership. I'm so grateful for all your engagement. Like I said, leave your comments down below. I'd love to have a discussion about Sirat down below. Thank you guys for also liking the video. If you guys enjoyed my review, if you guys want more movie reviews, more awards talking, and we have like pop culture discussions here on my channel, hit that subscribe button and the post notification button so you don't miss out on all of that goodness. I'm also on all the social media platforms. I'm on Letterboxd, I'm on Serialized, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and also the Awards Expert app, all at Willow D. Steele. So make sure you give me some love on all of those platforms. Thank you guys so much for helping me grow my community here on those social platforms and also here on YouTube. I'm so grateful to see it grow every time I hop on here to make another little fun video for all of you guys. I have so much fun doing it. I hope you guys have fun watching. So thank you guys so much for helping me grow my cinema loving community. And until my next video, make sure you keep getting lost in film. Bye guys.